In this video, we're going to look at continuing our design with our previous assembly here, the surface and points we created, the alignment and profile. We are going to make a second assembly to bridge the gap we have here, as we won't fill that with dirt, and just to show you how I go about doing that and how to make it quicker. Now, I was looking at a previous AutoCAD Civil 3D file of mine, and under my assembly properties, I have this set to an other type of assembly, and that seems to have worked for the super elevation when we need to. So we'll go set that to other, and we'll see if that works when we get to our super elevation, as I haven't tried this in 2020 yet. Another thing between the videos that I've done is I've gone and named all these pieces. So I went in, I clicked on them, went to properties, and I've named them all. And again, you don't have to do this, but it could make it easier if you have to transition your assembly or expand your corridor, add an additional lane, contract, whatever you need to do when we get into the corridor modeling. So again, here's my central median. And again, I'm just going to hover briefly so we could see all the options to make sure yours are the same. And I'll go through them slowly here. Pause the video if you need to. So that was all the options. Here's the bottom of the ditch. Again, just apply the same numbers to the left ditch. So I'm going to hit OK. Now, you could go about making another assembly through corridors, create assembly. However, the easiest way I have found to do this is grab the center marker only. Do not grab everything. We will grab the center marker. We will run the command copy. And I'm going to copy this straight down. And again, if it's not straight down, it's fine. Just copy it down. The first thing I'm going to do is rename this centerpiece. So 50th Avenue Assembly Bridge. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm going to draw a polyline from these 2 points because we're doing the bridge piece now, so we're going to build 2 independent bridges of each other with no median in the middle. So the reason I drew a polyline from side to side is when I delete that piece, again, just select the median and delete. I am now going to grab the inside shoulder of the left. I'm going to use the grip. I'm going to move that to the very left here. So this piece now lines up with this piece, and when we go to build a bridge, you'll see them match up together. I'm going to take this piece and then move it out here. However, we also have to adjust it vertically a little bit, because this, actually no, we might not. So we'll see about that when we build the corridor. We may be fine here. So now I've got this named 50th Avenue Assembly Bridge. I've deleted the median. I will delete the ditches on both sides, and I'm also going to delete this shoulder because we don't taper shoulder on a bridge here. I'm going to right click, copy this road piece to there, go to properties. I'm going to rename it left outside shoulder. And I'm going to make this the 3 meters wide. I'm going to go ahead and copy this piece on the right out to here. I'm going to name this right outside shoulder and also 3 meters wide. And again, these right lane outside, all this should be the same, and if not, we can tweak it after we build the corridor. So again, we started with 1 assembly, we quickly copy and pasted it down to 2, and we changed the name here, so they are now 2 separate assemblies. We can go and start building our corridor. So back to the plan view. What a corridor is it's going to take our road cross section, so our assembly here, and it will follow along with this blue center mark. And that blue center mark is going to follow our alignment horizontally, so east and north and west and south, or X and Y's, and it's going to follow the profile vertically. So it has X, Y, and Z information as it tracks along. It will apply this cross section every 5, 10, 20 meters, whatever we decide. It will apply that cross section and build our alignment. Or build our corridor, sorry. So under the corridors drop down, I'm going to create a corridor. I'm going to name this 50th Avenue. I'll leave the corridor style. I want it based off an alignment and profile. My alignment is Highway 50. My profile now is Highway 50 or Highway 50 to design. So when we created our cyan colored line here, we named it Highway 50 design. If you select Highway 50, it's going to follow the existing ground and you're not really going to get a good looking road. So I'm going to choose Highway 50 design. I'm going to apply my 50th Avenue Assembly normal, and I'm going to set target surface up right from this dialog box. We can do it afterwards, so if you have to do it afterwards, don't panic, and I'll show you how to do that. So once that is done, I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to leave set baseline and region parameters selected so we can build the corridor all at once. Now, I'm going to have the normal cross section through here. We're going to build a bridge here, normal cross section, possibly the rest of the way. Again, we'll tweak that as we see fit. So the way to do that, to add additional sections in here, is first I'm going to take my road. I want my normal road cross section, and I'll just shrink some of these down, start station to end station. I want my normal road cross section to end, we'll say approximately there. So all I did was click this little arc button, arc line station picker, and I picked roughly where this gap started. Now I'm going to change this increment. I'll change the increments after when we're all done. I'm going to right click on here now and I'm going to insert a region after. My region name, we can name these all afterwards, but I'm going to do bridge now. I want my bridge to start, these two stations should match, and I want my bridge to end approximately there. Then I want to insert another region after using my normal assembly, and we'll just go with the rest of the alignment. Now I'm going to set all frequencies here. I will start off modeling an increment of 50 meters for everything for now. Because this is 9 kilometers long, it'll take a bit of time if you do anything less. Even 50 is going to take a bit of time. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to rebuild the corridor. So we have our corridor model now, and as you can see on the left side, we have our corridor here. We have our daylight targeting out, coming down, and then we have a transition to our bridge. So the corridor actually gets skinnier. However, our shoulder continues, our driving lane continues, our driving lane continues, and our shoulder continues. So we'll know if we did it vertically correct after we go and build a surface out of this. Then we cross the gap and we come back to a corridor piece without any targets, and we can tell that because it's the same width the entire direction. So I'm going to select my corridor, go into corridor properties. I'm going to go under parameters. I'm going to click on the last piece, and if I scooch this out of the way, as I click on these pieces, it highlights on your window which one you're modifying. We don't want to modify the bridge, we want to modify this last piece. I'm going to go into my targets, and my target surface. Now this is where setting up the names really comes in handy, is when you do targeting. So my left ditch, I want to target existing ground. My right ditch, I want to target existing ground. However, if we start targeting other stuff, we can target with the median, and it gives you exactly what pieces they are. Because 3 width targets, what is the shoulder, the lane, or the outside lane? If you name them, it makes it a lot easier. All I want to do right now is set these to existing grounds. So I'll hit OK, and 50 modeled quite fast, so let's change the frequency. Let's try an interval of 20. Again, depending on your computer, maybe don't do this. So we'll hit OK, we'll rebuild the corridor. And it took a little bit longer to rebuild, but we now have targeting information. And possibly we could build another bridge in that location. So near the end. So let's go and do that quickly. I'm going to do this a slightly different way now. I'm going to select my corridor. I'm going to right click. I'm going to modify region and I'm going to split region. I'm going to select the corridor. I'm going to select right here. It's going to rebuild and split. However, the assemblies will still be the normal ones applied. I am then going to do the exact same thing. Modify region, split region, right here. So again, you could do it through the corridor properties window, or you could do it right on the corridor itself. And we'll take a look around and okay, we'll build another bridge right there. But now we have to go into, I don't think we can do that the next part through here. No, we can't. And we can't do it there. So corridor properties, we see we have 2 additional lines here. I'm going to change this to our bridge. I'll hit OK. I'll hit OK and I'll hit rebuild. And give that a second to update. So now we have our normal road cross section, a bridge section, normal, bridge, normal. And as you see, this one still has the targeting applied because we kept all the settings when we split this section out. So now let's go and see if we created these 2 assemblies vertical properly. I'm going to freeze off my existing ground surface right now just for this. I'm going to save my drawing first of all. Again, save quite often when you're doing this, and even a save as is a smart idea. I'm going to go into corridor properties. We're not going to go into codes or feature lines, but surfaces. I want to create a surface. So create a corridor surface. Specify top code. We could do the top of the road. We could do any of the different layers we have, but let's just do top to keep it simple. And then you have to click plus. If you do not click this plus, it will not build you a surface. I'm going to rename this to 50th Avenue Design Surface. And again, just right in here is fine. My style, let's go 1.2 for now. And before I click OK, I'm going to go under boundaries. And I'm going to right click on this and go corridor extends as outer boundary. So it shrink wraps it. Now, if you start building intersections and whatnot in here, it's not going to work as well. But for this, it should be fine. We'll hit OK. We'll rebuild the corridor, which is again going to rebuild it and build our surface. So as we look along the corridor, the triangles don't triangulate across the drawing, whereas if we hadn't shrink wrapped it, it would. And we can see that our normal cross section, so 2% up, 2% down, has been applied the entire way. And when we get to our bridge section, if I can find it here, right there, our contours should keep the same general shape. We don't have a drop. We don't have any weird bumps, except the center here now targets just smooth and flat. But again, we can remove that with just some triangle editing. Our ditch ends here, but that's not a big deal. So going across, again, what's going on through here, just take a look at all your contours, make sure everything has built correctly. And even another way of doing this is through Object Viewer. Again, this is either a 5 or 10 times exaggeration. So we could take a look at our road now. When you have a longer piece of surface like this, it gets a little bit tedious to zoom in and zoom out. However, we can see here's our median, here's our ditch, here's our 2 road surfaces, here's our ditch. On this side, we're in an area of fill, so it's not going to build the other side of a ditch. On this side, we're in an area of cut, so it will build our ditch. As we zoom along, we see the transition. So it goes from an area of fill over here to an area of cut. We can see that jumping up a bit. A big area of cut. Back to our road. So these 2 lanes, they match up perfectly. We'll continue on. And again, just take a look. Make sure it's built it correctly from what you can see right now. So I'm going to close that now. And I want to gather some general, very vague dirt volumes. So I'll save my drawing first. Now, I don't want to include anything over a bridge in this. So for right now, I'm going to go into surfaces, take my 50th Avenue design surface under definition. I'm going to first go into surface style, turn my triangles on. Then I'm going to delete some triangles. So under edits, delete lines. And I will put these back, but I just want to get some very general numbers right now. So I'll go and delete these. And again, we'll hit enter and make sure the surface goes away. We have no triangles building in the middle. And then I'm going to go over here and do the same. So again, we can select a few and enter, select them all, enter. But be careful when you're windowing that you don't grab anything you want to keep. And then I'll grab those two. Okay, so I've removed those two bridges. And again, just an object viewer will show us that, okay, those are gone. So the road just ends. And we can close that. I'm then going to run the command report surface volume just for a quick number. I'm going to click add a definition. So create a new entry. I want existing ground compared to 50th Avenue design surface. And we see we have 2,135,000 cubic meters of cut and 819,000 cubic meters of fill. So we have a lot more dirt. We're cutting out a lot more dirt than we're filling in. So we can go and start adjusting our vertical profile now to lower this. So let's go do a couple of those to show you guys how it's done. And then that will be the end of this video. So I don't generally recommend this, rebuild automatic on a corridor. And in fact, it might even return some of these triangles, but I'm going to set this for rebuild automatic for when I adjust the profile, that will update. Now, we should do a mass haul diagram to even the dirt as much as we can as we go along, but just for now, let's do this. I'm going to take this grip, and because we have too much dirt, I'm going to move it up slightly, knowing that this -3 is going to go to a slightly less -2.7, and this is a slightly steeper -0.8. Now we'll go look at our surface, make sure it hasn't added any of those triangles back, which it looks like it hasn't. However, I'm going to rebuild this just to make sure. And then I'm going to create a new entry. We could recalculate, however, create a new entry so you can actually see what's happening. So our cut number has gone down and our fill number has gone up. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this a little bit more. And again, when you rebuild automatic, any little change you make is going to remodel your corridor. Make sure your slopes are still good. And I might come over here and now raise this one a tiny bit. And I've raised it actually quite a bit because we have a large number here. And then I'll create a new entry and see if that has updated 50th Avenue. So that hasn't updated because I apparently haven't rebuilt this. So just recalculate that, and that has gone down again, and that has gone up quite a bit. So we originally had a net of 1.3 million extra dirt. We now have a net of 650,000. So again, go along your whole alignment or profile here, raise it up a little bit at a time. Make sure your grades are still okay. I'm going to turn on my polar for this. I'm going to raise this. We'll say, we'll raise it 10, which is actually 1 meter because this is 10 times exaggerated, which now makes this above minimum grades. And I'm going to take this and raise it 10 as well. So that should go back to being 3%. Yeah. And then rebuild my surface and relook at my dirt volumes. So again, it's a little bit of back and forth. Try and generally level it for now. In fact, I'd probably be okay leaving it at this until we start doing a mass haul diagram. And as we see, it's added an additional triangle. So that is actually throwing our dirt numbers off. So I'll come back into surface properties, and I'm going to go under definition, and a couple of these are no longer valid, so I'll just remove those. Rebuild my surface and come under definition, edits, delete lines, and re-delete them. Yes, it's a bit annoying, but as we're changing the triangles themselves, they are coming back as we modify stuff. And this would throw my numbers off quite a bit, so we'll see how this affects it. So just pay attention to what you're doing and go back and forth and look at what's happening to your corridor when you adjust your profile, etc. And after this, we'll quickly check existing ground, 50th Avenue, and probably find out that we have, oh, even more. We have a net of more because we're not filling that up. So we went from 1.3 down to 500,000, which we thought was good, back up to 730,000. So just pay attention, go back and forth, raise it up, lower it as you need to, and try and generally figure out your dirt volumes right now. So again, we built a corridor from our alignments, our profiles. We made another assembly from our bridge section, and in the next video, we will go over a quick super elevation.